Meanwhile, in a heart-wrenching tragedy that has shocked the nation, at least 20 people were burnt to death and several others suffered severe injuries when a private bus travelling from Hyderabad to Bengaluru caught fire. The incident occurred on National Highway 44 near Chinnatekur village in Kurnool district in Andhra Pradesh after the bus collided with a two-wheeler. Officials said that the bus was carrying around 40 passengers, most of whom were asleep at the time of the accident. 4 fire engines were rushed to the spot, but the bus was reduced to ashes before the flames were brought under control. Forensic teams have been deployed to collect DNA samples as the bodies were charred beyond recognition. Now, here is how the tragedy unfolded. We're talking about a private luxury sleeper bus operated by Kaveri Travels, which was traveling from Hyderabad to Bengaluru. Near the Chinnatekur village, close to the Alampur crossroads, the bus collided with a motorcycle. Preliminary reports suggest that the bus struck a motorcycle, causing it to get lodged under the bus's chassis near the fuel tank. The impact ruptured the bus's fuel tank, spilling diesel onto the road. Sparks, likely from metal scraping or electrical damage, ignited the fuel, causing an immediate fire. The flames spread rapidly from the front underside of the bus, where the motorcycle was strapped, to the entire vehicle. The fire was fueled by diesel and possibly flammable materials within the bus's structure. Most passengers were asleep in their sleeper berths. The sudden jolt of the collision and the smell of smoke woke up some people, while others were alerted by screams. Electrical wiring damage from the fire reportedly caused the doors to jam, trapping passengers inside. This left the emergency window as the only escape route. Awake passengers began breaking emergency windows to escape. Nearby villagers, alerted by the blaze, rushed to the scene and helped pull passengers out through the broken windows before emergency services arrived. Fire services were alerted promptly and 4 fire engines from Kurnool and nearby areas were dispatched. However, the fire's intensity meant that the bus was fully engulfed by the time they arrived. Firefighters controlled the blaze, but the bus was charred. The injured was suffering at this point in time from severe burns already, smoke inhalation and trauma. They were rushed to Kurnool Government General Hospital. That's the tragedy that has unfolded. Visuals of the rescue on your screens right now. Before we bring in our guests, my colleague Belly Thomas joins us on the broadcast with the latest information from the ground. Belly, firstly, what is the update on the people who have survived this accident?
Of people, Devika, there are a little over a dozen people who have escaped this major fire accident involving the Volvo bus, which was bound to Bengaluru from Hyderabad. And these people who were, one of the passengers has told that almost all of them were asleep when the accident happened, and the bus had around 41 passengers on board, and most of them were asleep, except for 2 or 3 people who woke up to flames engulfing the bus from the front. They initially thought it was some other accident, and it took some time for them to actually realize that the bus has caught fire. And then they started running around and waking up all the people. But by then, like you said, the doors were jammed because of a possible electrical short circuit. And then this bus had met with an accident with a two-wheeler that was caught underneath the belly of the bus, and which had dragged over a distance, which had caused sparks. And the fuel tank of the bike is what said to be caused the initial fire, is what said, because the Director Inspector General of Police, Koya Praveen, who had investigated into this incident, had said that the fuel tank of the bus is seen intact. And since the inflammable parts of the bus caught fire, within minutes, the entire bus was engulfed with flames, and people had less opportunity to escape. There were only the rear window, the rear glass panes that were broken broke open and people had to jump from that height onto the road. Several of them were injured and they had to be dragged from the road to the sides, is what eyewitnesses say. And by the time the fire and emergency services arrived with four fire engines, the fire has already caught up with the entire bus, and the entire bus had burnt, and some bodies around 11 or 12 by afternoon were only identified, because all the others were charred beyond recognition. And now the forensic team is underway, conducting their investigations to identify the remains and name actually the witnesses. A special team from Karnataka has gone to Kurnool to find out if any passengers from Karnataka are involved in the bus accident. But as of now, the sources say that a lot of people who were from Hyderabad were the ones who were on board on this bus, which is a routine luxury sleeper Volvo coach, which was bound to Bengaluru from Hyderabad. And the incident happened between 2:30 and 3 is what we gather at the National Highway 44. Now, the transport department, the district administration, and the local fire and emergency services are all multi-pronged. They are working in a multi-pronged manner to actually find out like what exactly is the cause, to ascertain the cause of this accident. And it initially looks like the collision with the bike had caused it. But having said that, this Volvo is raising safety concerns on passengers, which they consider that Volvo is a very safe mode of transport, and this has caused a kind of concern among commuters or travelers who are taking public transport. And the transport department is doing whatever it could to kind of salvage the issue and to compensate the victims of the families who have lost their loved ones, and also the injured people who have been admitted to the Kurnool Government General Hospital.
Okay.
Devika.
All right. Belly, stay on with me. I'll come back to you in just a moment. Also joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Sanjay Sahai, former IPS officer, Mr. Tutu Dhawan, auto analyst, and Mr. Anurag Kushrestha, road safety expert, with us as well. Let me begin with Mr. Dhawan. Mr. Dhawan, I have to understand from you, a smaller conversation would be about whose fault it was, whether it was the bus driver's fault, whether it was the person on the two-wheeler, was it his fault, how did the accident happen? But this prompts for a much larger conversation about safety in public transport vehicles at the end of the day, because we're talking about a bus whose systems jammed as soon as the bus caught fire, and that possibly was one of the major reasons why most of the people were not saved. How do we take this conversation forward, and how do we ensure that there is now proper policy that's implemented as far as such large vehicles are concerned?
First of all, I offer my condolences to the kin of the bereaved, and also the people who got injured. But however, an accident is an accident, and unless one goes personally or through a team to go and investigate what the cause is, obviously I can't be sitting here and telling you that. But nevertheless, I can give my little advice to whatever it is worth. Firstly, I think it is the negligence on the part of either the bus driver or the two-wheeler. Two-wheelers, as you know, they try to ride right in the center of the road, and they become very arrogant sometimes when somebody asks for a pass. They don't want to do that. So I hope it was not one of those cases. And the other, of course, is an accident in a situation like this that involves supposedly a very safe vehicle, a safe brand. Volvo is supposed to be the safest brand in the world. But unfortunately, what I have noticed is it is so high that once it gets into an accident in a situation like this that has happened now, where there are so many electronics and electrical controls inside that those things get jammed. So it is becomes virtually impossible for the people stranded inside to jump down. You know, it is almost jumping down 6 to 8 feet to reach the ground, and to have people above 60 and elders trying to do that, it is jumping into a well by itself. So these certain safety features, I think, need to be readdressed, and the manufacturers, including the governance, they need to address all these things to be able to make road travel safer. This is not the first time that an accident like this has happened. There have been many cases like this which have happened earlier also, but unfortunately, the authorities turn a blind eye towards it, and they have never been able to enforce the rules of the game properly. And in this case, also, I blame the authorities for not having taken any initiative in trying to make road safety a safer way of traveling by road.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Kushrestha into the conversation as well. Mr. Kushrestha, your first thoughts as well on this tragedy, because like I said, we will get further details once the investigation unfolds, once the police also does its initial investigation and prepares the reports on what exactly happened. But at the end of the day, this begs for a much larger conversation, because essentially people could have been saved had there just been a very clear safety mechanism in such a case. We've seen this happening even in cases of cars and other vehicles getting locked when they get stuck, for example, in a flood. And that requires a much larger policy conversation with those that are building these vehicles to begin with.
Yeah, well, sorry, there we go. Actually, what happens in almost all the European countries, such buses are banned due to the safety standards, because they are not complying with all the safety standards over there. So it is banned everywhere, almost in all European countries. And just what is the problem behind it? This is a crashworthiness, emergency exit, and the fire safety. These are the three compliances which are not fulfilled by any of these buses, but blindly we are allowing these buses in India. I think we have not the tendency to learn anything from the world. Whatever it's not allowed over there, it is allowed in India. So, and it is happening number of times. Almost every month we are having such incidents in India. And what's that? Is IG's allowing this thing, or the saying something to the public after the crash investigation? Is he the competent authority? Does he know about the crash investigation? How can he announce that thing? So it is based on the, like, CIRT is the organization in India who is passing or who is checking all these vehicles, such vehicles. So why don't we learn or make the policy something which is happening already existing in European countries, and we are allowing these buses in India? Hardly anyone, like we have raised our voice number of times to the central government, state governments, at least start the awareness, like in aeroplanes. Whenever you are starting a journey, you are informed by the crew that these are the possibilities and how to open the emergency door and all these things. These buses are having a single door, not doors. Single door for the exit and single door for the entry, for both. And generally these single door is blocked by the companion of the driver in the bus, and it is closed. It's like a taboot. In case of any incident, nobody can get out from this particular door, the front door. Second thing, there must be a hammer in every bus at 5 or 6 locations in the bus, so that people can break the glass and come out of that. And in a sleeping system, sleeping mode, sleeping buses, it is not possible to come down these passengers from first inside the bus and then go to outside the buses. So we have to make the policy, we have to think earlier, because government is only responsible for all these things, for allowing such buses in India. They must learn from the European countries or the developed countries why they are allowing this, what are the policies, and what is the policy to be made in India. So all these things, then Precautionary measurement, yes, if these buses are allowed, hammers must be placed at every window, and there must be an announcement before starting the journey. Yes, how to break the glass in case of emergency. So people are not aware of that, and whenever there's such incidents is happening, they are running here and there. Ultimately, they are choked in one caboose. They can't run here and there. If one or two people are coming out, it's happening everywhere. Just I think last week also there was an incident like this, and every month such accidents are happening. But we have to learn out of that, and media must raise the voice about to making the policies to the government.
Okay,
Yes,
all
please.
right. Okay, stay on with me, stay on with me. Some more news coming in before I bring in Mr. Sanjay Sahai. We have some breaking news coming in. We're now learning more details emerging in the bus fire tragedy. Andhra Pradesh Transport Department has confirmed that the bus was in a good condition with all valid documents. The bus has a valid tourist permit till 2030, a fitness certificate till 2027 and insurance up until 2026. Mr. Sahai, I want to bring you in on this point. Like as we're just discussing, now we're learning from the Andhra Pradesh Transport Department that the bus in fact was in a very good condition and had all the valid documents, because that's the first question that also arises, right? That it must be a bus, an illegal bus, or a bus that was not operating as per the laws, a bus that may not have had all the certificates. But now the Andhra Pradesh Transport Department is confirming that the bus in fact was in a good condition, had all the requisite documents. In such a case, Mr. Sahai, who's to be held accountable and liable for what's happened, taking 20 people's lives?
The Andhra Pradesh Transport Department, as any other transport department in the country, I think they are at least capable or competent enough to tell whether the bus was roadworthy and had the readiness to face an accident of this nature. This fitness, the documents are there are documents everywhere. The fitness certificate is for what? It is for the mechanical movement and couple of those other things which are very, very basic to the existence of any automobile. The authorities and the bus operators, I would put the bus operators also on the same line. So both in a very callous manner, the whole system is running. We are talking about a regulation. We are a regulation-free country, which is the regulatory authority which controls the movement of Volvo or night buses across the country. I don't think there is an authority at the central level or at the state level. Suffice to say, we have the largest number of fatal accidents in this country by vehicles, four-wheelers, buses and all that. And we remain to top the list for all times to come. Now, one errant behavior which was being talked about, one of the panelists regarding two-wheelers. If you come to a city like Bangalore, literally there is no control over the two-wheelers, and we are the two-wheeler capital in this country. Now you are coming to I think much has been talked about passengers not being able to react and they were sleeping. Did both the drivers know of the emergency protocol? Is there an emergency protocol? Before we go to Volvo, can we put our house in order? That the country has decided that we will run Volvos which are supposedly banned in Europe. We are running in this country. Can we take some bare minimum precautions? Mehboob Nagar 2013, nearly exactly the same thing has happened, and I have a whole list of cases which has happened all across the country. Primarily, there are 3-4 reasons only. One is that there is no safety protocol, point number one. Point number two, the drivers themselves don't know the safety protocol. And the second driver sleeps while the first driver drives. There is no marshal in the bus. You see in the olden days, in all the Mufassil routes, used to have a conductor. Now that conductor is not required, he will charge another 15,000-20,000. That cost will come on the bus operator. So there is no emergency protocol, there is nobody who has to run the emergency protocol. And in the aircraft, I would like to, a bit of a divergence there. There is a whole group of people who will take care of you. Only at the end, when you are literally thrown to yourself, here there is nobody. When the bus met with an accident, with that particular motorcycle, till the time the flame completely engulfed or the flame became fatal, how much time has elapsed? Can somebody tell me? And is that time sufficient enough for 40 people to escape from a 50 feet bus or 40 feet bus or whatever? It is sufficient enough. Why we have not been able to impose the same emergency windows for other windows? You can have 4 or 5 windows. What is the problem there? What is the issue with mechanical door or automated door, whatever? It can operate on two principles. So there are a variety of ways and means where things can be done. One is at the Volvo level. Second is there is a regulatory mechanism. Third is at the transporter level also. End of the day, whatever my other esteemed panelist has been talking about, it is the job of the regulator, and by regulator we mean the government. When they are taking taxes, when they are taking, and the transport department is saying everything is hunky-dory. What is hunky-dory? Nothing is hunky-dory. Having a license, having some all India permit, what does that has to do with the security readiness? There is NCAP certificate. For
Yes.
the two-wheelers, might be for four-wheelers also, I don't know. But there is absolutely nothing where the fire disaster is factored in. It is not factored in at all. So literally there are gaps anywhere and everywhere, and there's a whole list of cases which I have with me, and every case shows the same thing. So there is enough time and opportunity if we have the capability to react. But the only thing which we understand is to inform the police or the fire brigade. When they come, only something will happen. In the meantime, the passengers will desperately try to come out. Some local help will come by, but there is nothing institutional. There is nothing on the evacuation protocol. There is nothing on having a marshal there. Had there been a marshal in the bus, he would know how to open the door when the first thing happened. And the driver himself scooted. Either he could not react or he scooted or both. So
Yes.
that is where we stand.
Okay.
And the bus operators, if they want to make only money, and let's not get into a fire tragedy. If it were to happen for the first time, would have agreed. But it is happening on a regular basis.
Absolutely. And perhaps the news coming in next gives us a lot of these answers as well of why it's happening over and over again. Belly, bringing you on this more breaking news coming in. Telangana traffic police data has revealed that the vehicle in question had e-challans worth over rupees 23,000 for overspeeding, dangerous driving and wrong side driving. It was also penalized for entering no entry zones 9 times, unauthorized parking, disobedience of orders and failure to carry a driving license. Belly, take our viewers through the details.
Devika, this is a revelation that the Telangana Transport Department has investigated into, and they went on to check with the registration number of this particular Volvo bus, which they found that the challans worth 23,000 were pending on this bus, and still it was, ferrying passengers, overnight from Hyderabad to Bengaluru and back from Bengaluru to Hyderabad. And these offences were, inclusive of dangerous driving, overspeeding, and also on a wrong way. Usually, these buses leave these destinations. These two are prominent destinations, Hyderabad and Bangalore, wherein the passengers would board the bus at around 9:30 or 10:30 or 11:30. So this is the time that the boarding usually happens from both the ends, and it's an overnight journey that in the morning you reach the other destination. So the revelation by the Transport Department of Telangana, the Traffic Police Department, has come out with challans worth rupees 23,000 pending for this particular vehicle, and it is the driver who needs to be both the drivers who needs to be penalized for it, but they have not paid this, and they kept it in pending, and the bus was still in still in service is what we gather. So we don't we are unsure of as to what kind of a case or a law the law will consider this particular case in this particular case as such, but certainly this would come into consideration as the death toll has become
Okay.
20, and the people who have escaped is like 50% of the people who died, and 50% of the people only could manage to escape. And the death, it's beyond recognition, charred to death
Okay,
beyond
okay. Belly, stay
recognition.
on with me. Some more breaking news coming in. Andhra Pradesh Home Minister has made a statement. She's gone on to say that the bus driver is currently in custody and a case has also been registered, and that identification of the bodies is becoming difficult due to the fire. Belly, take our viewers through the details.
Devika, now the case of accident would be investigated as to who was on the wrong when this particular accident had happened. We are told that this bus collided with a two-wheeler which got stuck underneath the belly of the bus and the chassis, and it was dragged to a certain distance, and that was the primary cause for the fuel from the bike's fuel tank to leak and cause the fire, is what we are gathering from the fire and emergency personnel who had conducted preliminary investigations at the spot. But later, the forensic team also arrived, and they are also conducting. They also have conducted investigations into this particular accident. And now, since the bus driver has been apprehended, his statements would be recorded, and what exactly had happened, and why did he scoot from that place in the first place, and what was the reason for the bus's doors that were jammed, and if the doors were jammed, how could he escape? And all those questions will have to be answered, and that would come into a form of a report, Devika.
Right, absolutely. Berry, stay on with me. More news coming in. Telangana government has now announced an ex gratia for the Kurnool bus accident victims. Families of the deceased will receive rupees 5 lakhs and the injured will get rupees 2 lakhs. Belly, take our viewers to the details.
Devika, this is in addition to the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund releasing around 2 lakhs ex gratia for each of the deceased victims' kin, and rupees 50,000 for the injured. Along with that, the state government, Telangana government also have released around rupees 5 lakh for each of the deceased victims' kin, and rupees 2 lakh for the injured, and all possible support will be extended by the state government for the injuries, for the people who have been admitted and undergoing treatment at the Kurnool Government General Hospital, and all possible support would be extended, is what we are learning as of now, Devika.
Okay, all right, Belly. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. With that, viewers, we sip into a very short break.